Good evening, everyone. I'm Jonathan Haskell, Chair of Parc, and we want to welcome everyone to this second quarter review meeting. We're glad that you're here and willing to share with us in this opportunity. We're going to start tonight with a review of Parc's mission, vision, and rules of decorum, and for that I'll turn to Leticia Flores.
Good evening, everyone. The mission of the Police Advisory and Review Committee is to provide community members of the City of Knoxville a civilian oversight committee that audits the discipline process, policies, and procedures of the Knoxville Police Department. The purpose of Parc is to strengthen the relationship between community members of the City of Knoxville and the Knoxville Police Department by providing a timely, fair, and objective review of community complaints. Parc also assists community members in navigating the investigative process after filing a complaint with KPD. The rules of decorum are as follows. Those who wish to speak during public forum should sign up by contacting the Parc office ahead of time or by signing up in person prior to the start of the meeting at 6 p.m. All speakers will be given 5 minutes. Please do not use profanity and remember to stay on topic. Those who fail to adhere to those rules may be ruled out of order and asked to step away from the podium. For those who are listening, please note that you may not disrupt a public meeting from the audience. Those who do so may be asked to leave. And we appreciate everyone's respect for these rules.
Thank you, Leticia. Next on the agenda is an approval of the quarter one meeting minutes. I think you all should have received a copy of the meeting minutes. Do we have any questions or discussion, or is there a motion to accept?
So, second.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Any questions, discussion? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Next up is our Executive Director's report from Jared Krim.
Hello, can you hear me? All right. I like feedback. It's interactive. I like that. I'm not used to that. Expanding awareness of Parc to the community and other partners continues to be a priority for us. During this quarter, we have attended district commanders forums, conducted presentations to the Knoxville Homeless Coalition, canvassed the Montgomery Village community, conducting surveys for Project TLC alongside KPD and community partners. We also participated in the bipartisan build with other city and county employees, including the county mayor, with Habitat for Humanity. I was also honored to have completed the Intro Knoxville program. I want to share my continued appreciation for KPD's intentional support for our work and access to the command staff and other resources. Thank you. I submit the complete report for the board's approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. Do we have a motion to accept Jared's report?
So move.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you, Jared. Next, we'll move to subcommittee reports, and I would ask Mr. Tyrone Beach to update us on the audio-visual report.
Good evening, everyone. The audio-video report for the second quarter of the 0 referral action forms and 10 internal affair cases reviewed by the Parc. There were 0 cases with documented audio and video recordings based on body-worn cameras and/or the incident taking place in the vicinity of the officers' patrol vehicles and within a recordable range.
Thank you for that. And next is the racial profiling report. Ms. Williams.
This report covers the period of April the 1st through June the 30th of this year, 2024. There was one alleged racial profiling, bias-based policing case reviewed by Parc during this respective quarter's review. KPD Policy and Procedure Review, General Order 1.41, Bias-Based Policing, 1 Policy It is the policy of the Knoxville Police Department that we are committed to preserving the peace and maintaining order in the city of Knoxville by practicing bias-free policing and respecting the rights and dignity of all citizens. Definition: bias-based profiling, the practice of stopping, detaining, or searching a person based solely upon a common trait or a group that includes but is not limited to their race, color, ethnicity, age, gender, sexual orientation, religion, economic status, or any other identifiable group characteristic. Would you like for me to proceed?
Yes, please.
All right. The following report provides a total for current quarter cases. Closed IAU and/or referral action form cases 10. Parc community anonymous complaints received via Parc office 23. Community anonymous complaints referred to IAU or a captain 14. Total cases received includes IAU and complaints to Parc 40. Total, sorry about that. Total cases pending, complaints that are awaiting review by Parc upon the completion of a Knoxville Police Department or Parc investigation 23. Total cases closed. Overall number of cases reviewed and closed by Parc staff 17. Resolution of community complaint cases, Parc staff 6. KPD contacted the complainant and the complainant decided to not move forward with a formal investigation, or KPD conducted the investigation and shared their findings with the complainant directly. 13. Mediation, Parc staff and KPD. Parc staff met with the complainant and KPD to provide mediation services to resolve issues and concerns. 0. Referrals to appropriate agencies. Parc office received calls regarding issues involving other law enforcement departments. 2. The following page you will note a year-to-year comparison of operations report. First column you'll note is from last year, 1/1/23 until 12/31/23, and then 1/1/24 until 12/31/24. Total cases brought to Parc from 9/22/98 to present. Previous year, 2,803. Current year, 2,869. Total cases closed from 9/22/98 to present. Previous year, 2,724. Current year, 2,747. Cases resolved by Parc office, last year 43, current year 60. Resolved by mediation between Parc office and KPD, last year 1, current year 0. Resolved by KPD, last year 8, current year 13. Referrals to appropriate agencies, last year 12, current year 10. Total cases pending, last year 19, current year 48. Parc cases resolved to Internal Affairs Unit or Captain for the year, last year 8, current year 14. IAU cases reviewed by Parc staff and committee, Internal Affairs, last year 30, this year 10. Referral action forms, last year 0, current year 0.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. For the record, that was both the racial profiling subcommittee report along with the operations case review report. I apologize, Mr. Canty, for taking away your assignment, and would yield the mic to you if you have anything you want to add.
No, that's kind of about it. Yeah, Ms. Williams kind of encapsulated everything on here, so I think I'm good.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, Brother Canty.
Oh, it's all,
I take full responsibility
It's all
as chair
good.
of this committee.
It's all good. It's all good.
Number 7 on the agenda is case matters addressed by this committee. For the second quarter of 2024, this committee reviewed 10 cases. We have submitted questions and comments about those cases, and those have all been responded to, according to my knowledge. I would like to, at this time, give the committee an opportunity to ask any follow-up questions. If there's anything or any comments that you would like to make to Chief Noel regarding any of these cases.
May I say one thing? So there may have been some confusion in looking at these cases. I just would like to clarify. So the cadets, so we have 3 different types of employees we're looking at. We have cadets, our recruits, and then our police officers. The cadets are kind of like interns. Okay, so they're not, sometimes when people hear cadets, they think of people like in the police academy. So we have a cadet program. It's actually an awesome program. You could come right out of high school. It's for people 18 to 20, 21. And you could come work for us, and it's like a paid internship. We rotate you through different jobs throughout the police department. If you're in college at the time, you actually only work 30 hours. You get paid for 40. And we work around your school schedule. So some of the cases that you all looked at were involving these cadets. They're not police officers. They're not in the police academy. They do receive some training, but it's not the same level of training that our police officers undergo. And then the recruits, those are the ones that are either like about to enter the police academy or in the police academy. So I just wanted to make sure that you all understood that. Sure. Thank you. And, and the beauty of that program is, it gives the cadet or the kid basically a chance to see if law enforcement is a career for them. But on the other side of things, it gives us the opportunity to see if this is someone that has what it takes, both physically, mentally, and with the character integrity to join our department. So it's kind of like a tryout for both sides. Every one of our cadets don't make it. Some get in and they decide that law enforcement's not for them. Some get in and decide that they would like to be a cop, but they have other opportunities elsewhere. Some go into the academy, and other ones we say, you know what, like this is just not working out for our side. So it's just like an internship. It's a really great opportunity, and I would ask you all as well to help spread the word about that program. In the state of Tennessee, you have to be 21 by the time you graduate from the police academy. So theoretically, you could be 20 and a half and enter the police academy and then graduate when you're 21 because the academy's 6 months. But that cadet program pays $36,000 a year. You work 40 hours, but again, if you're in college, we let you work 30. You still get paid for 40. We work around your school schedule. It's a pretty great program. So I would ask you all to, if you know anybody, please send them our way.
Chief, I admit this is a very vague and subjective question, but it seemed to me that the cases that we reviewed regarding the cadets involved just a maturity issue, and I wondered if these situations give you any pause about the maturity level of the cadets.
Not at all, because again, like I said, this is a paid internship, right? This is we keep a really close eye on these kids, and actually, what it shows you, I think, here is our system is working, right? Like we're watching what they're doing. We're trying to provide them guidance and mentorship, because you're taking someone who's 18, 19 years old, and in some cases have not had a lot of direction in their life, and you put them in a position. It's like a lot of them, it's their first real job. And, things tend to go sideways a little bit sometime. Like on my first job, I had, some challenges. And I think it shows that the system works. We're actually, Chief Powell is actually looking, exploring the idea of bringing in someone part-time to help to be a mentor for them as well. They have a veteran supervisor that supervises them, but the more mentorship and guidance they have, the better. But they're heavily supervised. They never do anything when they're by themselves. So I think this is a great opportunity for them to make mistakes in a safe environment, right? You learn from their mistakes. And if they do something where we decide that, the mistake that they made, they can't be an employee anymore, we both go our separate ways. And also, this is an opportunity for, for them to grow and learn, hopefully in a safe environment. Yeah, and they don't carry weapons. They're not armed. They're armed. It's a really good job. And I feel really good about it, really good about our program. When I came on KPD 2 years ago, we had 3 cadets. And David, how many do we have now? Is it around 25? Yeah. So we're really trying to do, we're recruiting our officers from all across the country, but all our cadets are coming from right here in Knoxville. So this is a great chance for us to build. And, as the chief said, we got, 24 plus here now, and I'm super excited about this program.
Can you speak to, if you can, the cadets that were disciplined during this quarter? How might that affect their future desire to be in law enforcement?
So any employee who separates from us, like if the ones that resign, they have resigned under investigation next to their name. So if a future employer comes and asks, did so and so work at KPD and why did they leave? It's either you resigned in good standing, you resigned while under investigation, or you retired, or you were terminated, So that would be, they're not police officers, so there's nothing for us to report to the state. That would be up to their next employer to decide whether they want to employ them or not. And again, just like you said, ma'am, I mean, they're kids, right? They're kids, and they have the, I think they have the ability here to make mistakes, and if we decide that we move on for them, it's going to be up to the next employer to decide whether they want to hire them as a police officer or in any profession.
I think that's personally the good news, the growth of the program. Can you speak to diversity in that cadet program?
So for the most part, we've had a couple African-American cadets come in, not as many as I would like. We're doing pretty good with females. I can't give you a count offhand, but I really would like to have more African-American cadets. We go speak to all the high schools, especially Fulton, because they're right next door to us. And it certainly is something that we need to work on, but it's not for a lack of trying. And again, if you all know anybody at all, please, we'd love to sit down and speak to them about it, about joining our department.
And do you have, is there an Explorers program that's
We do.
kind of leads into the cadet, or is that completely separate?
It's separate. So we have a Explorers program that's affiliated with the Boy Scouts. It's not as big as I would like. I really would like for us to start working and try to expanding that. We have one officer that works on that program as well. I really would like for us to really try to expand that program as much, as big as the cadet program. We've not really done that yet.
I have a question, if I may, and if I'm out of order, just please let me know. You made a reference about age, and I think I heard someone in the audience respond that the age that you articulated, Chief, was not correct. And I want to give this person in the audience the opportunity to respond if, in fact, that is appropriate.
I think the comment was, you said it was 18 to 21 and referred to them as kids. The comment that I heard was just simply disagreeing with that opinion. So I don't know if there's any need for clarification there. Any other questions from the committee or Jared?
Excuse me, if I may. That was your interpretation, and I'm certainly, that's all I want to say in relation to that, but that was that lady's interpretation, And I wanted to provide her with the opportunity to respond if she would like to, and if it is within the realm of being on the board for her to do so. And it's her call to make if she wants to respond, or it's your call to say, hey, Sadia, be quiet, which, I would certainly
I would
adhere
rarely say
to.
that. I would be happy to provide space for that tonight, if there's a desire.
Um, All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Push that little button with the person, and it should turn red. There you go.
Testing. Okay. Thank you for giving me the chance to ask my clarification question. Quite simply, I mean, you use the word term.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yes,
We
before
need you to state your name and address for the
sure.
committee, and then we'll give you 5 minutes for this
Yeah.
question.
My name's Nicole Skinner. I live in East Knoxville. I've been told before that that's sufficient that I don't have to give my full address. Okay, 37914 is my zip code, just for privacy. I just wanted a clarification because the term kids refers to people who are under 18, people who are minors, and using that term minimizes whatever these cadets did. I mean, I'm talking to you, sir, who used the term kids several times. So I want a clarification. Are these kids or not kids? Are they adults or not adults? Thank you.
Chief,
I think the chair already provided an appropriate answer to my question. Ma'am, I said the ages of these employees, so.
If that's the response that you'd like to give, I'm more than willing to accept the response that you provided, sir. What I wanted to do was to provide her space.
Sure, yes, ma'am. I've said the ages of these employees in question, and if we're gonna, I don't really know what else to say unless y'all have any further questions for me.
Any other questions, comments?
I will comment on this, just in my field. Right, they're legally adults according to their chronological age. And anyone who works in higher education knows that people who are 18 to 21 still have developing frontal lobes and issues of responsibility and impulse control and all of those things are still in play and still developing. So I think the speaker really brought out an interesting cultural debate over what determines an adult. So I'll just say that.
And one thing I did have for the chief, I guess a suggestion, or perhaps, have you explored partnering with other community groups that mentor young black children? That perhaps for the Explorer program, more so than the cadet program, that perhaps you could partner with them to expand the Explorer program past simply the Boy Scouts. I know it's been the Boy Scouts for a very, very, very long time, but perhaps it's time to expand that. Is that something you may be willing to have a conversation about?
I'm not opposed to revamping the entire Explorer program from top to bottom.
Okay. I think, of course, I'm not trying to hold you to anything necessarily, but I would like to see a conversation with more community grassroots-based mentoring programs that would give, I think, the police department a necessary liaison into these communities that are somewhat averse to dealing with the police department for various reasons,
Sure.
socially, culturally, historically. So just a suggestion.
No, absolutely. I would love to work with you and whoever else on revamping our entire program. The individual that we are trying to hire to work as a mentor with our cadets is a active member of the 100 Black Man organization. Myself and a lot of my command staff are going to be at that gala tomorrow night, and I think that would be a one organization we could work with. But I'd be absolutely willing to sit down and with you and whoever else, and let's revamp this and let's make this as robust program as our cadet program.
I was gonna, I know how the lines work. I was gonna say, Chief, with that, what Jared suggested, I'll just suggest this. I was the president of Black Men, around 2013. So it's more of a, not you all do this, but it's kind of like, it's more, so we tried something like this. So we brought some kids to the jail for, some of them wanted to be COs, and it kind of turned into a scared straight situation, right? So, which is, it traumatized some of the kids. They didn't come for all of that, right? So, as y'all explored the Explorer program, I mean, you good, but it's just from the past. It turned into a genuine interest in that kind of program, and then it turned into like a lecturing section. Kids got traumatized, turned to scared straight. They wasn't even there for that, and so as you all do that, just have that in mind. Just something from the past that kind of got to me, but yeah, that's it.
Yeah, no, I get that. That's absolutely. I'm not sure what the sheriff's office was doing with that a while back, but that's the kind of opposite of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, appreciate it.
What we're really trying to do is kind of like to be, a gateway to our cadet and our police officer program. Give young men and women, mentorship. Give them, opportunity. Give them something to, to focus on in a positive way.
Cool, I appreciate it, because sometimes when it comes to like our young kids is, was like the burden on police community relations falls on like the kids themselves, and sometimes that goes into like some conversation that wasn't even there for all of that. So I appreciate what you were saying. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions for the chief? Anything outside of the cases that we reviewed this quarter? Seeing none, I'll move on to committee business. I will point out on the agendas that were distributed tonight, there is the election of chair and vice chair. That was left over from a previous agenda and not something that we need to do tonight. So I would just open the floor if there's any other committee business that needs to be discussed. Seeing none, we'll move on then to number 9, and our speaker tonight. Jared, would you like to introduce our speaker?
Sure, I know I'm going to butcher his last name. Colin Ickles. No? Ikes.
I pronounce it Ickes, however you want to say it, is just fine.
Thank you. I'm just going to keep going until I got it right. He is the Knox County EMA director, and me and Josie both had a chance to go and tour their facilities, and it was incredibly expansive, the reach and the scope of what his office does in times where you are most concerned about your family. Those folks are out there in the street concerned about us. They coordinate, I know, they coordinate with the police department and regional and local and even national entities to make sure that Knoxville maintains a safe posture when things are going really badly. So I'll leave the rest to you, sir. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and I really appreciate the invitation to join you all here this evening. I'm Colin Ickes, Director of the Knox County Emergency Management Agency, 1630 Huron Street. And I appreciate Executive Director Kroom and Josie joining us last month for a meeting. It was great to let you all see our new Emergency Operations Center at the Public Safety Complex that we're very proud of, very fortunate to have. And it was very educational for me. I appreciate the opportunity to learn a lot about the important mission of Parc, so it was a great opportunity to discuss that with you all. I'll take just a moment to talk a little bit about emergency management, and I promise I'll be brief, but we're a shared city and county department. Our role is to prepare for major emergencies and disasters, and when they do occur, to coordinate and support the response on behalf of local government. So I'll give you my best emergency management analogy. If you think of every agency, every department, every organization that could be part of in any way the response to an emergency, I'm talking about, of course, our first responders like KPD, KFD, the ambulance service, the rescue squad, other nonprofits and faith-based organizations. I hate to start naming them, but just to name a couple that we work with routinely: Red Cross, Southern Baptist Disaster Relief, United Methodist Committee on Relief, Team Rubicon, other supporting departments that can come to assist, the Public Service Department, the City of Knoxville Traffic Engineering. Again, just to name a few, there are so many partners that we collaborate with, but if all of those agencies and organizations are bricks, then emergency management is the mortar that works to build those into one singular, monolithic, cohesive, coordinated structure to ensure the best, most efficient, most effective response to our community when it's needed the most. So our day-to-day role is working on planning, preparing for major emergencies and disasters. That usually includes planning, training, and exercising. So you'll frequently see us hosting planning meetings to plan some aspect of an emergency response, hosting training courses for our emergency responders and other partners, working collaboratively with them to plan emergency drills and exercises, which is how we practice for emergencies. And when emergencies do occur, we work to coordinate and support the response. The primary way we do that is by managing our local emergency operations center. Again, that's over at the new public safety complex, and that's where we gather with representatives from all of our local emergency response agencies who are involved in the emergency. That's where we put our heads together to collaborate, to share information, and to solve the complex problems that we often face during crisis. So. A little bit of history. Since 1963, Knoxville's been affected by 14 federally declared disasters. 1963 is when federally declared disasters started becoming a thing. So for some perspective, we have had twice as many disasters in the last 20 years as we did in the preceding 30 years. So in other words, Knoxville is following national trends of having major emergencies and disasters more often, and when we have them, they're more costly to respond to. So the public tends to have a short memory. So just to mention a few of the recent disasters that our communities faced back in January. I know everyone remembers the winter storm. For us, that was a 9-day activation of our emergency operations center, where we were again coordinating closely with all of our emergency response partners. It was real challenges. To get to the scene, to get emergency responders to the scenes of emergencies, and there were a lot of issues. Just to name a couple, getting dialysis patients to their dialysis. A lot of the normal day-to-day services that our community members depend on, particularly our more vulnerable community members, well, those weren't available during the snowstorm, and it became, frankly, kind of a major crisis. But complex problems to solve. But we've got a great team to collaborate with and to solve them through the Emergency Operations Center. So. The winter storm we had back in January. You may remember the August tornado that we had last year. February 2019 was actually the worst flooding on record for Knoxville and Knox County and much of East Tennessee. And so those are some of the bigger ones, but of course there are many smaller emergencies that happen on a regular basis. One of my colleagues is on the scene of a significant fire out in East Knox County right now, and earlier this week on Monday, we were at the scene of a hazardous materials incident. You may have seen on the news a hydrochloric acid spill from a truck shut down Kingston Pike for several hours. We were on scene there, again, to support our first responder partners with the police department and the fire department who had the lead on that. And while I have the floor, I would like to compliment our partners at the Knoxville Police Department. Since Chief Noel has taken the helm, we've seen great improvements in the way that they manage and lead the response to major emergencies and crises affecting Knoxville, and we're grateful to have such a robust collaborative partnership that's just gotten better over time. So thank you, Chief. In closing, I'd like to ask for your help in spreading the word about emergency preparedness in our community. We encourage every household to make an emergency plan. This plan should include contact information for your family members. Every household should have a meeting location and a backup meeting location in case cell phones are down and you're not able to communicate with your household members so make sure you can get back together and reunite with them. We also encourage every household to have an emergency kit equipped with supplies and documents that they would need all gathered together so that they're ready to immediately pick up and walk out the door with in the event of an emergency where they may need to evacuate. As an example, the hazardous material spill that occurred Monday was in a commercial area. A business was evacuated and some of the surrounding parking areas, but you can imagine if a similar incident occurred in a residential area, folks needing to evacuate for their own safety. Of course, we would want them to be empowered and to be prepared to meet their own needs and meet the needs of their household and family members by having a good emergency kit that's ready to go. Additional details about household emergency plans and kits can be found online at the Red Cross website or the FEMA website. And again, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Executive Director Kroom, for the opportunity this evening. And are there any questions that I can answer?
I had one. Oh, I beat you to it. Go ahead. What, if any, are the plans for unhoused citizens? For example, we had, unfortunately, a young woman who lost her life during the cold spell we had, and another homeless, unhoused individual suffered a double amputation due to exposure. Mm-hmm. What do we have in place for unhoused citizens, and is that a plan that is working with the Knoxville Police Department?
That's certainly a tough challenge. I think there are a lot of certainly not a lot of easy solutions, but I think we're fortunate to have some good partners at the table. Our role, more than anything, if you could distill it down, would be to coordinate the response. And so again, during the winter weather we had, the very cold spell we had back in January, we worked closely with the Knoxville, Knox County Office on Housing Stability. If you know Erin Reed there, she does a fantastic job. And she certainly took the lead, but we supported her efforts and provided some of the supplies and equipment to stand up the warming centers. Those were a huge success. I think a bigger success than anyone expected. And I certainly don't want to, would certainly defer to Erin. I don't want to speak for her, but I know in our planning efforts, some of our collaboration leading up to that, she had some challenges in getting the support and locations, facilities, community partners to make that happen. And again, I don't speak for her, but when seeing the importance and successes we had during the winter weather, I know a lot more folks have maybe their eyes have been open, but they've certainly become much more willing and eager to collaborate and be part of the solution there. So I think that was, Erin did a fantastic job with her team to make that happen, and I think those we've had several planning meetings with her and some of the of course some of the other partners that provide homeless services and that kind of thing. So I expect that to keep getting better. But in short, yes, that's certainly much of our emergency management focus. Emergency planning efforts are focused on our more vulnerable community members, and of course our unhoused community members are. That's one aspect of that. But that's certainly we strive for continuous improvement, and I think that will continue to get better. Did I answer your question?
You did, sir. I had a follow-up, though, for the chief and in command staff in general. But during incidents like that where there are life-threatening things at play, the elements, the cold, the storms, et cetera, is there a legal way to, I won't say commit, because you're not writing civil commitments, obviously, but is there a way to intervene against one's will if they are in a situation where they will likely die or face dire harm in a situation like the snowstorms or things like are there things that the KPD can intervene with? I just don't know the answer to that.
No, so if you're talking about the snowstorm in general, if someone does not want to go in a shelter, we don't have a way to force someone to go against their will into a shelter. Not that I'm aware of.
Even if it's literally they have no coat on and it's negative 19 degree. I mean, it seems as if they had a knife to their throat, you'd be able to arrest them. To me, it's very much in the same vein as a person who is self-harming themselves. I'm just curious, is
mean-
this something that's being discussed? I know the co-response teams seem to be the logical place for that conversation, but I'm just curious.
We had I'll give you an example. We had one person in particular, I spoke to this individual's mother, and she was trying to get her mother to go into a shelter, and she refused to do so. And we had officers, co-responders out there talking to her, the mother, and she refused to go into a shelter. And the only thing that we would be able to do if someone was truly a danger to themselves or others, then that person could be committed. They'd be brought to a hospital though, not to a can't bring them to a shelter against their will. Have to bring them to a hospital. That would be the only thing that I could think of.
I had a question as well. Do you allow for interpreters, or do you have translators for emerging communities who may not be, who English may not be their first language?
The best, that's certainly something that we're continuing to try to integrate into our emergency planning. We know our primary role is coordinating, a bit more of an internal role than a public-facing role. But right now, when we do encounter those situations working with the public, we use the language line contractor. If you're familiar, that's the best tool in the toolbox for those type of issues that we run into fairly rarely.
I'm curious how one becomes the Knox County EMA director. What's the career path there?
I can't believe you're going to put me on the spot like that. Well, after having a few different career ideas in my 8.5 years as an undergrad at UT, I began volunteering with the rescue squad. I started working as a EMT and paramedic, and then a firefighter, and while I was in school. And about the time I was graduating, frankly, there just happened to be an opening in emergency management. And by that time, I dabbled in enough different higher education majors and careers. I'd ruled a lot of things out, so I was kind of looking for opportunities at that point, and sort of it definitely dovetailed with a lot of the volunteering I was doing with the rescue squad, but I can't honestly say that was ever the grand career plan, if I'm being frank.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Yes,
Yeah, well,
Andre.
appreciate the presentation. Well, maybe how does one acquire the emergency kits, and probably a follow-up, almost similar to Jared's, but I guess I'm kind of worried about emergency kits for those in public housing. So I don't know, so the first question, how they're acquired, and after that, how do people in public housing acquire those emergency kits, if I get what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure. You raised some really good points. So emergency kits are not something that are generally distributed. It's kind of a list of things as a starting point, and it's crucial that everyone builds their own emergency kit that's tailored to their own household. Whether you have you may have children, you may have family members with access functional needs. A lesson the emergency management community learned more recently is more than ever, pets are considered part of the household, and many people are reluctant to, for example, go to an emergency shelter if their pets cannot be accommodated. So all that to say, every household's emergency kit needs to be tailored to that household, take into account exactly those sort of things. And so yes, we are aware, but don't have a lot of easy solutions. As I mentioned, a lot of our, if I can speak frankly, once we get past the lights and siren phase of the emergency, and we get to things like providing emergency shelter for our community members and that type of thing, we know that there are certain, if I can speak frankly, more affluent members of the community, they're probably going to be okay. They have the means to, perhaps put themselves up in a hotel, that kind of thing. But then a lot of our planning is focused, as was just mentioned, our unhoused community members, our more vulnerable community members. And so we do recognize that that's certainly a challenge if we, if we hand out a flyer and say, you should build your own emergency kit, well, not everyone can run to Walmart and spend a few $100s on that, and we know that, and that's certainly a challenge. We also know that a lot of our community members, that are frankly living paycheck to paycheck or just worried about making rent, just don't have the, a lot of extra room to think about that and then spend time on that. So that's certainly a challenge. We're working on that, something we're very concerned about, but I can't tell you we've solved that one yet.
Also, yeah, I know it's a lot for you to answer, and I do appreciate that and the candidness up. I'm just wondering about if there's any kind of, so directives, right? So you said that each emergency kit, is kind of tailored to somebody's house, so I don't know if there's any kind of directive. So if you live in public housing and an emergency happens, like this is a list of things you should have versus a house. And then, maybe if you, well, culturally speaking, ball on the budget, already. So what is like a more low budget, kind of like emergency kit that somebody can maintain? I guess, if people have a list of what is needed for their house and maybe some, I guess, more cost, less costly kind of emergency kit. I don't know if there's any directives for that, any kind of language about that, but I think if people at least know what they can or can't get, maybe it will help them, better in emergencies. But, of course, emergency, we can't, predict them a lot, but maybe, give them some kind of tools. And again, I don't know how to answer that question too, but just something to think about.
Yeah, you certainly make a fantastic point, and you can, frankly, you can spend as much money as you want to preparing for emergencies and putting together your emergency kit, but I don't think it necessarily has to be terribly costly. A few things can, that don't have a high price tag can really help you out and make things easier for you in a disaster. For example, making sure that you have copies of things like your driver's license, birth certificate, insurance policies, if you have those, ready to pick up and walk out the door. If to help you get back on your feet, and on the other side of the emergency. This isn't something that we've distributed, but now you're making me think more about it. I've seen some list. It was basically kind of a, it's something like a 3-month plan for emergency preparedness, where kind of each week, when you go to the grocery store, pick up this one extra item and pick up this other extra item. So kind of over the course of a little period of time, spending a modest amount of money, you can make sure that you're well prepared for an evacuation or something like another winter storm where you may be stuck in your home for a week and a half, something like that. But yeah, you raised some excellent points. It's certainly something that we think a lot about.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Anything else for Mr. Ickes? Thank you, sir, for your time and your expertise. We appreciate the work that you're doing to serve our community. Moving on to our public forum, we had one citizen register to speak, Mr. Robert Lee. I don't know if he made it in tonight. Mr. Lee? Not seeing him. We will move on from public forum to community updates. Any updates from the community or for the community?
I know I'm probably get this wrong, but October 10th, there's a community resource fair at the Jacobs Building. So everyone's, what did I say? October. Well, yeah, October, it is August. No, I made a mistake. August 10th, from 9, I believe, till, was it 9 to 1? 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. There's a community resource fair. It's going to be a great opportunity for citizens of Knoxville to come out and see exactly the full scope of all the things that Knoxville has to offer. It'll be a great family affair, too. There's plenty of stuff to do for the kids and things of that nature. And also, the Knoxville Urban League is doing their Shoes for School program, also in the Jacobs Building, August, 3rd, from 9 to 12. So those are two things that are coming up that I really think the citizens should be aware of. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jared. Chief, put you on the spot. You have any district forums coming up on the calendar that you know of?
We do one monthly. I just don't know when the next one is offhand. We just had our East District Forum, and we'll have another one coming up. I'll make sure that I'll let Jared know. And just so the board knows this, the committee knows as well, Jared comes to every one of those district commander forums. And we certainly appreciate him there. I know the community does as well.
Okay, anything else? Any other business?
Move to adjourn.
That was our next item on the agenda, so I appreciate that. We have a motion to adjourn. I don't know if we need a second. Do we need a second? Ms. Flores, I'm sure everyone is in favor. Any opposed to adjourning? All right, seeing none, thank you. Thanks, everybody.